right? So you can just go with what is function overloading. So actually just we have discovered about the class objects. Okay, we have just discovered about the class objects. Now these class objects are actually simple data types only. In a function we can pass a variable and we can return a variable also, right? Similarly in function we can pass an object also, right? We can pass an object also in the functions. We can pass an object inside the function. If we just see a small example, I can just go to the first tab. Okay, I have this, let's say, class test here, or I have this class 2, right? Or maybe just imagine I have this class test. Fine. Now this class test we have is class, let's say, employee, and class employee is having a string name comma string email, so name comma email comma password, and just we can make one function void show data. So show data, it will accept the argument of employee, because employee is also an object. Since employee is an object, we can pass an object to the function, right? As we pass int x, int y, right? Similarly we can do this also, and then we can just go for test t is equal to new test. Simply go for test t is equal to new test, and just after making its object, what I can do is, right, and test t1 is equal to new test, right, and I can just write t dot name, just wait, sorry, I'll just make the object of employee e1 is equal to new employee, and employee e2 is equal to new employee, right? And I'll go for e1 dot name is equal to, let's say, Shiva, and e1 dot password is equal to softwares, e1 dot name email, and again password, okay, email shiva@gmail.com, right? And I can just call as e1 dot, let's say, show data. Sorry, so, this specific member is a object of class test, so I will have to make the object of test class to access that member. So test t is equal to new test, and fine, and I'll go for t dot show data e1, let's say e1. So this e1 is now passed here, right? I'm passing this complete object here. Just if you want to see one thing, I will system dot out dot println e1 dot hash code. I'll just print this hash code. Similarly, I'll also go for system dot out dot println e dot hash code, right? See, first I'm passing the e1, so let's see the hash code of e1. So if it is being passed successfully, then both will show the same hash code, right? Okay, so both are having the same hash code if you see. Similarly, if I pass e2, so e2 dot hash code, and I'll just pass e2. See, now in this case also both of them are having the same hash code. So actually the complete in this case, when we pass objects, the reference of the object is passed to the function. The reference, since object is reference of memory, so the reference of that memory is passed to the function, right? So when we pass objects, the reference of the memory is passed to the function. It is passed to the function. Hence, it's also known as pass by reference. We also call it pass by reference, right? When we pass objects to another function, or it is known as method. When we pass object to another method, it is known as pass by reference. We call it pass by reference, right? So this is known as pass by reference. So if I can go for is system.out.println e.name, let's say, plus, I'll just use this, plus e.email plus e.password, right? So we have all this data here, and currently it is showing null because I am passing e2. If I pass e1, null is because I haven't initialized the members of e2. I did not initialize the members of e2, right? So I'll pass here e1, right? So it's shiva@gmail.com and software, and all these things are present here, fine, right? So this is how the things are being done, right? Fine. Now once we have easily done this, right, so we can easily pass a member here. Now similarly, it is also capable of returning a object. It is also capable of returning, a function can also return an object. So a function can also return an object. It can also return an object. So how does a function return an object? So if we can just see, what I will do is I'll modify this object here slightly. E dot name is equal to modified name, let's say, right? I'll modify this name, and currently, if you so that you are not confused, I'll make only one object and I'm passing it here, right? And this time I will be, instead of void, I will write here employee, because this is the place where I write the return type. So actually employee, so we can just return the data whatever we want, e dot name modified name, correct? Now what we can just do here is, then I'll go for return e, right? I'll return this e. Now once I'm returning this e, I will have to catch this e here, so I'll go for employee e2 is equal to t dot show data. So here the reference of this e will be passed again back to this e2. The reference of this e will be passed to e2. That reference will be passed here. Now if I just see system.out.println e2.name, so if I just modified name, so the name has been modified. So a function can also return an object, right? A function can also return an object. Actually, when it returns the object, it returns the reference of the object, and this is also known as return by reference. So when a function returns an object, the reference of the object is returned back, and it's known as return by reference. We call it return by reference. Now basically this is known as return by reference. Now similarly we we can also pass primitive data types and return primitive data types from a function, right? We may also you may also pass the primitive data types and return primitive data types from a function. You may pass primitive data type and return primitive data type from a function, right? So we come to the concept of function overloading. Function overloading. And what is function overloading? We'll just see. Alright. Function overloading. This is the concept of when functions or function or method overloading, right? When functions or methods are present in the same class, they are present in the same class, right? And they are present with the same name but different parameters, only different parameters, right? They are present in the same class with same name but only with different parameters, Now these different parameters can be of, alright, so they are present with the same name but with the different parameters. Now the parameters can be of different types, or their number can be different. So different means different parameters. These parameters can be of different types, or their number can be different. Now actually the overloading does not occur on the basis of return type. One important thing to be noted, it does not occur on the basis of return type, right? So overloading does not occur on the basis of return type. It does not occur on the basis of return type. Example we can just see is, if we can just see a small example here. So if we have class test here, we have void sum, let's say. This is a without any constructor, without any parameters. Then if we have void sum int x comma int y, then we have void sum int x comma float y. We have all these things here, int x comma int y, int x comma float y, right? Okay, and similarly it can vary in parameters also. For example, void sum int x comma int y int z, right? So we have all these different parameters that are set. Now if I just change its return type, I just make it int, this is not going to change the case. This will be overloaded function only, right? Okay, as I have already told you, return type will not affect the overloaded functions, right? So return type does not affect the overloaded functions. It does not affect the overloaded functions in any ways, right? Now basically what we can see here is, if I can just perform some overloading here, let's say I'll just use this example. So I'll go for void sum int x and int y, okay, and system dot out dot println x plus y. Then I can go void sum int x comma double y, and I can go with system dot out dot println x plus y. Void sum, that's a double x comma double y. Okay, and I can go for system dot out dot println something x plus y. So I have this. Right, now I may make the object of test here this time. So test t1 equal to new test, and then I will go for t1 dot sum of, let's say, 10 and 20. And similarly, I can go find t1 dot sum of 10 comma 20.5. So once I just run this, it's 30 and 30.5. Right, when I'm calling this, it automatically calls integer version, and when I'm calling integer and double, it calls integer and double version. Right, what is the use of function overloading? Right, why do we use it? Use of function overloading. So basically, the main use of function overloading is that function overloading is, suppose now here I have written 3 versions of sum, right, but user has to remember that there is one sum function and it will take different parameters. It is just going to take different parameters, right? So on user side, it decreases complexity because user does not have to remember different function names. Since it is a one function that is performing same operation, but just it is having different versions. So user does not have to remember different function names, since they all are performing only one function of finding sum. Right? So user does not have to remember different function names, since they all are performing one function and they are just using different versions. They are simply using the different versions, nothing else. Right? Alright. So we have it. This is known as function overloading. We also have a concept of var_arg methods in Java. var_arg methods. var_arg methods. Now var_arg methods, what is a var_arg method? A var_arg method is a method that can accept any number of arguments. If you pass 3 arguments, that is also fine. If you pass 4 arguments, that is also fine. So in var_arg method, we can pass any number of arguments. We may pass 3 arguments, or we may pass any number, right? And what is the syntax of a var_arg method? Syntax of a var_arg method is as, you may just go for void sum, right, int x, right, dot int, it is dot x, right. This is the syntax of a var_arg method. Let's check it out. Okay, let's see this var_arg method. Void sum int dot and x. This is a simple var_arg method. Now here, if you just see system dot out dot println in var_arg method, we are having the var_arg method, and if we just go for t1 dot sum 10 comma 20. Okay, even if I pass t1 dot sum of 10 or 29, whatever, right, in both the cases the same var_arg method will be called. If you just see in var_arg, so var_arg is capable of accepting any number of arguments. You can pass 4 arguments. You are free to do that. So a var_arg method is capable of accepting any number of arguments. It can accept any number of arguments. You see in this case also, right? Fine. Now, how can we retrieve these arguments here? How can we retrieve these arguments? Now, actually, all these arguments can be retrieved here in form of an array. All these arguments can be retrieved here in form of an array. If you just see, we can find the length of an array using length function, right? Or it is not a function actually, it is a simple variable that holds the length of an array. For example, if you just see x dot length, right? X dot length. So how many variables are we passing? In first we are passing 4 and second we are passing 1. So if you just see 4 and 1. So it will calculate number of variables being passed. And if you just want to display all of them, you can simply use a for loop to display. It will be x of 0, x of 1, x of 2. So all these variables are received by wherearg method as an array. For int a is equal to 0 and a is less than x dot length a plus plus, and we may go for system dot out dot println x of a, right? And if you just see, first it displays for this length is 4, 20, 30, 10, 40, then length is 1 and 29, right? So when we pass data to wherearg method, all of them are received as array. All of them are received as an array. We receive all of them as an array, right? And we can easily retrieve them as the array index. Length function can be used for finding the length of an array, right? We can easily retrieve them as an array index, and length function can be used for finding the length of an array. You can use the length function to find the length of an array.